Maya Rodriguez had always been different from the other girls in Millbrook, Texas. While they spent their afternoons at the mall or gossiping about boys, she was mucking stalls at Henderson Ranch, earning money to help her single mother pay bills. The ranch was her sanctuary, the only place where her rough hands and dirt-stained jeans didn't matter. She had a way with horses that even the seasoned ranch hands noticed, but Maya kept her head down and worked quietly. The annual Millbrook Rodeo Queen competition was the town's biggest event, drawing contestants from 3 counties. Every girl between 16 and 21 dreamed of wearing that rhinestone crown and riding in the parade. Maya had watched from the sidelines for years, knowing girls like her didn't win such things. The competition required evening gowns, professional headshots, and sponsorship money her family couldn't afford. Mrs. Patricia Blackwood, the competition coordinator and wife of the town's wealthiest banker, had made it clear over the years that certain types of girls belonged in the competition. When Maya's best friend Emma suggested she enter this year, Maya laughed it off. "Girls like me don't become rodeo queens, Emma. That's for the cheerleaders and the mayor's daughters." But Emma persisted, even going so far as to secretly submit Maya's application. When Maya received the acceptance letter, she was mortified. She marched to the community center where Mrs. Blackwood held court, planning to withdraw immediately. The older woman looked Maya up and down with obvious disdain, taking in her thrift store clothes and work boots. "Well, well," Mrs. Blackwood said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Maya Rodriguez, I suppose we can't be too selective these days, can we?" She made a show of looking at Maya's application. "Though I should warn you, dear, this competition requires a certain refinement. The judges expect elegance, poise, and proper breeding. Perhaps you might be more comfortable helping with the cleanup crew." Maya felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment, but something in Mrs. Blackwood's tone sparked a stubborn fire in her chest. "I'm entered fair and square," she said quietly. "I'll compete." Mrs. Blackwood's smile was razor-sharp. "Of course you will, dear. How admirable." She turned to her assistant. "Make sure Maya understands all the requirements. The evening gown portion, the interview segment, the horsemanship demonstration. I wouldn't want her to be unprepared." As Maya walked home that evening, she wondered what she'd gotten herself into. She had no evening gown, no money for professional photos, and certainly no connections to help her navigate the politics of small-town beauty competitions. But something about Mrs. Blackwood's dismissive attitude had awakened a determination she didn't know she possessed. That night, Maya sat at her kitchen table with her mother, Rosa, planning how to make the impossible possible. Rosa worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat, but she looked at her daughter with fierce pride. "Mija, if you want to do this, we'll find a way. Your abuela always said that worth isn't measured by the size of your bank account." Maya nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. In 3 weeks, she'd be competing against girls who'd been groomed for this their entire lives. Girls with professional trainers, custom gowns, and family connections stretching back generations. What chance did a ranch hand's daughter really have? The next morning at Henderson Ranch, Maya threw herself into her work with unusual intensity. She was cleaning the last stall when she heard unfamiliar voices in the main barn. Jake Henderson, the ranch owner, was showing the property to a tall man in a weathered cowboy hat. Maya recognized him immediately, Tyler McKenna, a legendary horse trainer who'd worked with some of the finest riders in the country. Jake was explaining the ranch's breeding program when Tyler's attention drifted to Maya working with a particularly difficult mare named Storm. The horse had been labeled untrainable by several handlers, but Maya moved around her with quiet confidence, speaking in soft tones that seemed to calm the agitated animal. "Who's that?" Tyler asked, nodding toward Maya. "Maya Rodriguez. Best hand I've got, and I've had some good ones. That girl has a gift with horses I've rarely seen." Tyler watched as Maya successfully led Storm from the stall, the mare following her like a gentle puppy. There was something in the girl's posture, the way she carried herself around the animals, that spoke of natural talent and deep respect for the creatures in her care. "She competing in anything this season?" Tyler asked casually. Jake chuckled. "Maya, she's too busy working to fool around with competitions, though she's got more natural ability than half the riders on the circuit." Tyler filed that information away as they continued the tour. He'd come to Millbrook to evaluate some breeding stock, but something about the quiet girl in the barn had caught his attention. There was an authenticity to her work that was increasingly rare in his world of show horses and politics. Later that afternoon, Tyler found himself back at the ranch, ostensibly to take another look at a stallion Jake was selling. In reality, he wanted to see Maya work again. He positioned himself where he could observe without being obvious, watching as she handled 3 different horses with varying temperaments. She moved with an economy of motion that came from years of experience, but more than that, she seemed to understand each animal's individual needs. With the nervous gelding, she was patient and reassuring. With the stubborn mare, she was firm but fair. With the young colt, she was playful and encouraging. "Impressive, isn't it?" Jake appeared beside him, following his gaze. "More than impressive," Tyler replied. "That's instinct you can't teach." Maya's been working here since she was 14. Started coming around after school, willing to do any job for a few dollars. Never complained, never cut corners. Horse people, you know how rare that is these days." Tyler nodded. In his travels across the country, he'd met countless riders with expensive equipment and professional training. Few of them had what he was witnessing now, a genuine connection with the animals that went beyond technique or ambition. As Maya finished her work and headed toward the ranch office to clock out, Tyler made a decision that would change both their lives. He approached her as she walked to her beat-up Honda Civic, her boots kicking up small clouds of dust. "Excuse me," he called out. "Maya, right?" She turned, surprised to be addressed by a stranger. Up close, Tyler could see the wariness in her dark eyes, the way she held herself ready to flee or fight. Life had taught her to be cautious around men she didn't know. "Yes, sir. Can I help you with something?" "I'm Tyler McKenna. I've been watching you work and I have to say I'm impressed. Jake tells me you've been here for years." Maya nodded slowly, unsure where this was heading. "I work here after school and weekends. Are you looking to hire someone?" Tyler smiled. "Not exactly. I heard around town that you're entering the Rodeo Queen competition." Maya's face flushed red. News traveled fast in Millbrook, and she was sure everyone was already talking about the ranch girl who thought she could compete with the town princesses. "I am," she said quietly, "though I'm starting to think it was a mistake." "Why's that?" Maya hesitated, then decided honesty was her best policy. This stranger would hear the gossip soon enough anyway. "I don't exactly fit the usual profile. Mrs. Blackwood made that pretty clear when I went to confirm my entry." Tyler's expression hardened slightly. He'd encountered Patricia Blackwood's type before, people who believed breeding and bank accounts were more important than character and ability. "What kind of profile is that?" "You know, the right family, the right clothes, the right connections. I'm just a girl who works at a ranch." "Just a girl who works at a ranch," Tyler repeated thoughtfully. "Tell me something, Maya. Do you ride?" "Of course I ride. You can't work with horses for 4 years and not learn to ride." "I mean really ride, competition level." Maya shrugged. "I've never competed officially, but Jake lets me exercise the horses. I can handle most anything he's got in the barn." Tyler was quiet for a moment, studying her face. He saw potential there, raw talent that had been overlooked because it came wrapped in work clothes instead of show attire. "What if I told you that being just a girl who works at a ranch might be exactly what this competition needs?" Maya looked at him skeptically. "I'd say you don't know much about rodeo queen competitions, Mr. McKenna." Tyler laughed, a rich sound that seemed to come from deep in his chest. "Maybe not, but I know something about recognizing talent when I see it, and I know something about proving people wrong." He pulled a business card from his wallet and handed it to her. "Think about this, Maya. What if Mrs. Blackwood and her friends are wrong? What if the judges are looking for something real instead of something polished?" Maya took the card, reading the impressive credentials listed below his name. Tyler McKenna wasn't just any horse trainer. He was one of the most respected professionals in the industry. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because I believe in giving talent a chance to shine, regardless of where it comes from. And because I think this town might be ready for a different kind of queen." That evening, Maya sat on her front porch with Tyler's card in her hand, watching the sun set over the Texas landscape. Her mother joined her, settling into the old rocking chair that had belonged to Maya's grandmother. "You've been quiet since you got home, Mija. Everything okay?" Maya told her mother about her encounter with Tyler McKenna, about his suggestion that she might have a real chance in the competition. Rosa listened carefully, the way she always did when Maya needed to work through a problem. "What do you think, Mama?" Maya asked finally. Rosa was quiet for a long moment, rocking slowly in the evening breeze. "I think," she said finally, "that your abuela used to say something about closed doors and open windows. Maybe this Tyler McKenna is your open window." "But what if I fail? What if Mrs. Blackwood is right and I don't belong in that world?" Rosa reached over and took her daughter's hand. "Mija, you've been proving people wrong your whole life. When they said you were too young to work at the ranch, you showed them how responsible you could be. When they said girls couldn't handle the difficult horses, you made Storm follow you like a puppy. Why should this be any different?" Maya squeezed her mother's hand, drawing strength from the calluses that spoke of years of hard work and sacrifice. "Because this feels bigger somehow, more public. Then maybe it's time people saw what we already know. That worth isn't about money or connections. It's about character and heart." The next morning, Maya arrived at the ranch to find Tyler McKenna waiting for her. He'd spoken with Jake the night before and received permission to observe her riding. Maya felt nervous under his scrutiny, but as soon as she settled into the saddle on Jake's best quarter horse, her confidence returned. She'd been riding this horse, Thunder, for 2 years now, and they moved together like dance partners. Tyler watched silently as she put Thunder through his paces, demonstrating the kind of natural seat and gentle hands that professional riders spent years trying to develop. When she dismounted, Tyler was nodding approvingly. "How long have you been riding like that?" "Like what?" "Like you were born in the saddle." Maya shrugged, uncomfortable with praise. "Jake's been teaching me since I started working here. Thunder's a good horse. He makes me look better than I am." "Maya," Tyler said seriously, "I've trained Olympic riders who don't have your natural ability. With the right preparation, you could not only compete in this rodeo queen competition, you could win it." The words hit Maya like a physical blow. Win. She'd been focused on simply not embarrassing herself. The idea of actually winning seemed impossible. "I don't have the money for lessons or fancy equipment," she said quietly. What if money wasn't an issue? What if someone believed in you enough to invest in your potential? Maya stared at him, afraid to hope. Why would you do that for someone you just met? Tyler leaned against the fence, choosing his words carefully. 20 years ago, I was a kid from the wrong side of the tracks in Oklahoma. I had talent with horses, but no connections, no money, no opportunities. A man named Jim Morrison took a chance on me, gave me the training and support I needed to succeed. He paused, watching a hawk circle overhead. Jim died 5 years ago, but before he passed, he made me promise something. He said talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't. He made me swear that if I ever found someone with real potential who needed a chance, I'd pay it forward. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. You think I have that kind of potential? I know you do. The question is, are you willing to work for it? Maya thought about Mrs. Blackwood's dismissive smile, about all the times she'd been told she didn't belong somewhere because of her background. Then she thought about her mother working 2 jobs, about her grandmother's stories of overcoming obstacles through sheer determination. What would I have to do? Tyler smiled. First, we get you properly prepared for the horsemanship portion of the competition. That's where you'll have your biggest advantage. Then we work on the other aspects: interview skills, presentation, confidence building. And the evening gown. Leave that to me. I know some people who might be able to help. Over the next 2 weeks, Maya's life transformed. Every morning before school, she met Tyler at the ranch for intensive riding instruction. He pushed her harder than anyone ever had, but she responded to the challenge with fierce determination. Tyler brought in specialized equipment, teaching her advanced techniques that most competitors wouldn't know. But more importantly, he helped her understand that her years of working with horses had given her something invaluable: authenticity. The other girls will try to impress the judges with perfect form and expensive tack, he explained, as Maya executed a flawless flying lead change. You're going to show them what real horsemanship looks like. The transformation wasn't just in her riding. As Maya's confidence grew in the saddle, it began to show in other areas. She held her head higher at school, spoke up more in class, and stopped apologizing for her work-worn clothes. Word of Tyler's involvement with Maya began to spread around town. Mrs. Blackwood was not pleased when she heard that the renowned trainer was working with that Rodriguez girl. She made several pointed comments about outside interference and maintaining the integrity of local competitions. But Tyler had dealt with Patricia Blackwood's type before. When she confronted him at the feed store, suggesting that Maya was receiving unfair advantages, he responded with quiet authority. Mrs. Blackwood, I'm simply helping a talented young rider prepare for competition. unless there's something in your rules about not being allowed to improve one's skills." Patricia's face flushed red. "Of course not, but—" "Then I suggest you focus on your own responsibilities as coordinator and let the participants focus on theirs." The encounter left Patricia furious and even more determined to ensure Maya didn't succeed. She began spreading rumors about Maya's family, suggesting they were using the competition for financial gain. She made sure the other competitors heard about Maya's special training, painting it as an unfair advantage rather than hard work. But Maya was too focused on her preparation to pay attention to the gossip. Tyler had also arranged for help with the other aspects of the competition. His sister-in-law, a former Miss Texas, drove down from Dallas to work with Maya on interview skills and public speaking. "The key," Jennifer McKenna explained, "is to be yourself, but the best version of yourself. Don't try to be someone you're not. The judges will see right through that." They practiced for hours, with Jennifer asking Maya the types of questions she'd face in the competition. At first, Maya's answers were stilted and nervous, but gradually she began to find her voice. "What would you do as rodeo queen to represent our community?" Jennifer asked during one session. Maya's answer came from the heart. "I'd show people that our community is built on hard work and genuine values, not just appearances. I'd visit the ranches and farms that really make this area special, not just the fancy events in town." Jennifer smiled. "Now you're getting it. That's authentic leadership." The evening gown had been Maya's biggest worry, but Tyler's connections proved invaluable. A designer friend in Austin, hearing Maya's story, created a stunning dress that reflected her personality: elegant but approachable, sophisticated but not pretentious. When Maya saw herself in the dress for the first time, she barely recognized the young woman in the mirror. The deep blue fabric brought out her eyes, and the cut emphasized her athletic build rather than hiding it. "You look like a queen," Rosa whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I look like me," Maya replied, "just more." 3 days before the competition, Maya felt as ready as she'd ever be. Her writing was the strongest it had ever been. Her interview skills were solid, and she'd found a confidence she never knew she possessed. But Mrs. Blackwood had one final card to play. The call came on Thursday evening. Mrs. Blackwood's voice was falsely sympathetic as she delivered the news. "Maya, dear, I'm afraid there's been a problem with your entry fee payment. The check your mother wrote has been returned for insufficient funds." Maya's heart sank. She knew her mother had scraped together the entry fee, but their account was always running close to empty. "There must be a mistake," Maya said. "I can get a money order." "Oh, I'm afraid it's too late for that, dear. The deadline for payment was last Friday. I'm sorry, but you'll have to withdraw from the competition. Maya knew it wasn't true. The deadline was tomorrow, Friday. But challenging Mrs. Blackwood directly would only make things worse. Can I bring cash tomorrow morning? I suppose we could make an exception, but the amount would need to include a late fee. $50 additional. Maya's heart sank further. $50 might as well have been 500. But as she hung up the phone, a quiet fury began to build in her chest. Mrs. Blackwood was trying to eliminate her through financial manipulation, banking on the fact that Maya's family couldn't fight back. She was wrong. Maya called Tyler immediately, explaining the situation. His response was swift and certain. "Don't worry about the money. I'll handle it." "Mr. McKenna, I can't let you pay my entry fee. That's not right." "Maya, that woman is trying to cheat you out of a fair chance. Jim Morrison didn't just pay for my training. He paid my entry fees, bought my equipment, and made sure nothing stood between me and the opportunity to succeed. Let me do the same for you." Friday morning, Maya walked into the community center with Tyler beside her and a money order for the full amount, including the suspicious late fee. Mrs. Blackwood's face went through several interesting color changes as she was forced to accept the payment and confirm Maya's participation. "Of course, dear," she said through gritted teeth. "We're so looking forward to your performance." As they left the building, Tyler squeezed Maya's shoulder. "She's scared of you," he said quietly. "Scared of me. Scared of what you represent. Change. The possibility that her little kingdom isn't as secure as she thought." That afternoon, Maya had her final preparation session. Tyler worked with her on Thunder one last time, fine-tuning the routine they'd developed for the horsemanship portion. "Remember," he said as she dismounted, "you're not just competing against the other girls. You're showing this community what real skill looks like, what genuine connection with horses means." "What if I mess up?" Tyler smiled. "Maya, I've watched you work with horses for weeks now. You don't mess up when it matters. Trust yourself." Saturday morning dawned clear and bright, perfect weather for the outdoor portions of the competition. Maya arrived at the fairgrounds early, wanting to check on Thunder and settle her nerves before the other competitors arrived. She found Tyler already there, making final adjustments to her tack. The saddle and bridle were beautiful but practical quality equipment that spoke of serious riding rather than show-ring flash. "Ready?" he asked. Maya took a deep breath, looking around at the arena where she'd prove herself in just a few hours. "As ready as I'll ever be." The other competitors began arriving with their families and support teams. Maya watched them unload expensive horse trailers and set up elaborate staging areas. Some of the girls had professional hair and makeup artists. Others had coaches putting them through last-minute practice sessions. Maya felt a familiar pang of insecurity. How could she compete with this level of preparation and support? Then she saw Mrs. Blackwood holding court near the judge's table, pointing in Maya's direction and speaking in low, urgent tones. Whatever she was saying made several of the judges look over at Maya, with expressions ranging from skeptical to dismissive. Maya's doubt transformed into determination. She'd come too far to let Mrs. Blackwood's politics defeat her now. The competition began with the interview portion. Maya watched from the wings as the other contestants gave polished, rehearsed answers to questions about community service and leadership. They were poised and articulate, but something felt hollow about their responses. When Maya's turn came, she walked to the center of the stage with quiet confidence. The lead judge, a weathered rancher named Bill Morrison, looked up from his notes with interest. "Miss Rodriguez, tell us why you want to be rodeo queen." Maya had practiced this answer dozens of times, but when she opened her mouth, different words came out, words from her heart rather than her preparation. "Sir, I want to be rodeo queen because I love this community and everything it represents. I've spent the last 4 years working on Henderson Ranch, learning from the land and the animals, and the people who make their living from both. I've seen the real heart of this place, the early mornings and the hard work and the genuine care for the things that matter." She paused, looking out at the audience where she could see her mother and Tyler watching with pride. "If I'm chosen as your queen, I won't just represent the fancy parts of our community. I'll represent all of it, the ranchers and the farm hands, the people who work behind the scenes to make the pretty parts possible. Because that's what makes us strong." The judges were quiet for a moment after she finished. Then Bill Morrison nodded approvingly. "Thank you, Miss Rodriguez." As Maya walked off the stage, she caught sight of Mrs. Blackwood's face. The older woman looked like she'd swallowed something unpleasant, which gave Maya a small surge of satisfaction. The evening gown portion went smoothly. Maya's dress was stunning without being flashy, and her confidence from the interview carried over. She moved across the stage with natural grace, neither rushing nor lingering, simply being herself in beautiful clothes. But the horsemanship competition was where Maya truly shone. She'd drawn Thunder as her mount, which felt like a good omen. As she settled into the saddle, all her nerves disappeared. This was her element, the place where years of hard work and natural talent combined into something magical. The required pattern was complex, a series of maneuvers designed to test both horse and rider's skill and partnership. Maya and Thunder moved through it like they were dancing, each transition flowing seamlessly into the next. But it was during the freestyle portion that Maya truly impressed the crowd. Instead of the flashy but hollow showmanship the other competitors had displayed, Maya demonstrated real horsemanship. She and Thunder worked as a team, communicating with subtle cues that spoke of deep mutual trust and respect. When she finished, the arena was silent for a moment before erupting in applause. Even some of the other competitors were clapping, recognizing superior skill when they saw it. Maya dismounted and led Thunder from the arena, her heart pounding with exhilaration. Tyler was waiting at the gate, his face split by an enormous grin. That, he said, was perfection. It felt right, Maya replied, still catching her breath. Like everything we've been working toward just clicked into place. While the judges deliberated, Maya cooled Thunder down and put him away. She tried not to think about the results, focusing instead on the satisfaction of knowing she'd given her absolute best effort. Mrs. Blackwood appeared as Maya was hanging up Thunder's halter. "Well," she said, her voice tight with barely controlled anger, "that was quite a performance." "Thank you," Maya replied calmly. "Don't thank me yet, dear. The judges make their decisions based on more than just showing off with horses. They consider the whole package: breeding, family background, social standing, the kinds of things that really matter in a representative." Maya looked at the older woman steadily. "If those are the things that really matter to the judges, then I suppose we'll find out soon enough." Mrs. Blackwood's eyes narrowed. "Indeed we will." As Mrs. Blackwood stalked away, Tyler appeared at Maya's side. What did she want? "To remind me that I don't belong here." "And what did you tell her?" Maya smiled. "Nothing. I figured I'd let my writing speak for itself." The sun was setting as all the competitors gathered on the main stage for the announcement of results. Maya stood with the other girls, trying to calm her racing heart. Win or lose, she'd proven something to herself and to everyone watching. Bill Morrison stepped forward with the envelope containing the judge's decision. "Ladies and gentlemen, this year's competition was one of the closest we've ever judged. All our contestants showed remarkable dedication and skill." He paused, looking out at the crowd that had gathered for the announcement. However, one contestant stood out not just for her abilities, but for her authenticity and genuine connection to our community values. Maya's heart was beating so hard, she was sure everyone could hear it. This year's Millbrook Rodeo Queen is Maya Rodriguez. For a moment, Maya couldn't process what she'd heard. Then the crowd erupted, and Tyler was lifting her off her feet in a crushing hug, and her mother was crying and laughing at the same time. The rhinestone crown felt heavy on her head, but the weight was satisfying rather than burdensome. As she looked out at the cheering crowd, Maya saw faces she recognized: ranchers and farmhands, people who worked with their hands and understood the value of authentic skill. She also saw Mrs. Blackwood's face, frozen in shock and fury. The older woman had clearly expected a different outcome, had perhaps even assured her favored contestants that the fix was in. But the judges had made their choice based on merit rather than politics, and Maya had won fair and square. During her victory speech, Maya kept her comments brief and gracious. She thanked her mother, Tyler, Jake Henderson, and everyone who had supported her journey. But her final words were aimed at a broader message. "This crown doesn't just belong to me," she said, looking directly at Mrs. Blackwood. "It belongs to everyone in our community who works hard and takes pride in doing things right. Thank you for giving me the chance to represent all of us." The applause was thunderous. Later that evening, as the celebration wound down, Maya found herself alone for a moment with Tyler, the man who had seen her potential when no one else would even look her way. Thank you," she said simply, "for everything." Tyler shook his head. "You did the work, Maya. I just gave you the opportunity to show what you could do." "But why? You still haven't really told me why you chose to help me." Tyler was quiet for a moment, looking out at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "Because 20 years ago, Jim Morrison saw something in a scared kid from the wrong side of the tracks. He taught me that real worth isn't about where you come from. It's about what you do with the chances you're given." He turned to face her, his expression serious. "You've got something special, Maya, not just with horses but as a person. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." "What happens now?" "Now you fulfill your duties as queen. You represent this community with the same integrity and authenticity you've shown throughout this competition. And you remember that you earned this through hard work and genuine ability." Maya nodded, understanding that this was both an ending and a beginning. She'd proven that worth couldn't be measured by bank accounts or family connections. She'd shown that authenticity and skill mattered more than polish and politics. But more than that, she'd discovered something about herself. She was stronger than she'd ever imagined, capable of more than she'd ever dreamed. Mrs. Blackwood and others like her had tried to keep her in her place, to convince her that girls like her didn't deserve certain opportunities. They were wrong. As Maya drove home that night, the crown secured carefully in its box on the passenger seat, she thought about her grandmother's stories of overcoming obstacles through determination and hard work. Rosa had been right. Worth wasn't measured by the size of your bank account. It was measured by the size of your heart and the strength of your character. Maya Rodriguez, Millbrook Rodeo Queen, had both in abundance. 1 month later, Maya was settling into her role as queen when she received an unexpected phone call. The caller introduced himself as a representative from a major Western wear company who had heard about her story. Miss Rodriguez, we're launching a new campaign celebrating authentic Western heritage, and we'd like you to be our spokesperson. We believe your story embodies the values we want to promote. Maya was stunned. The offer included a significant financial compensation and would open doors to opportunities she'd never imagined. "Why me?" she asked. "Because you represent something real. In a world full of manufactured images and artificial personas, you're the genuine article. That's exactly what our customers are looking for." After the call, Maya sat in her room looking at the crown on her dresser. Mrs. Blackwood had tried to convince her that she'd never be chosen because she wasn't the right type of girl, that her background and circumstances disqualified her from certain opportunities. But here she was, not just chosen as queen, but being offered opportunities that extended far beyond Millbrook, all because she'd had the courage to be herself and the determination to prove her worth. Tyler had been right when he said Mrs. Blackwood was scared of what Maya represented: change, authenticity, and the possibility that merit mattered more than connections. Maya picked up her phone and called Tyler to share the news. His proud laughter filled her with warmth. "I told you that you had something special," he said. "This is just the beginning." As Maya hung up the phone, she realized he was right. This wasn't just about winning a local competition or landing a modeling contract. It was about proving that worth comes from within, that authentic value can't be diminished by other people's prejudices or limitations. She thought about all the other girls out there who'd been told they weren't good enough, pretty enough, or from the right families. Girls who had dreams but felt like those dreams weren't meant for people like them. Maya's story would show them otherwise. Sometimes the cowboy who sees your worth isn't riding in on a white horse. Sometimes he's a mentor who believes in your potential. And sometimes the most important person who needs to recognize your worth is yourself.